Hey, what's up, everybody? It's A. Millie. Welcome to another episode of the Sip and Sit. And tonight's guest, I have Miss Rada Griffin. She is the first certified Black female winemaker in the state of Alabama. So we're going to chop it up with her. We're going to learn about her and her journey. And she is in here, and I'm going to request her. Just 1 second. Let me request Miss Griffin. Let's see. She's trying to come in. And she's on. Is she here?
Hi.
Hi.
I don't know what happened. I don't know what's going on, but I'm here.
Listen,
so I'm
you are here. I am so elated to have this opportunity to interview you because I think I heard through the grapevine that you are an HBCU graduate, right, Miss Griffin?
I am.
Illustrious Tuskegee University, right?
University, yes.
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 See, I have a love-hate relationship with Tuskegee University. I'm a graduate of Alabama State University, but I am
that's
from.
Okay, we still love you. We still love
Tuskegee,
you.
but I am from
Are
Tuskegee.
you? Wow. Okay.
Yeah. But I
Nice.
had to go to the other school because, we're gonna talk about that later.
Okay. But thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for coming on to the Sip and Sit. And it's so funny, when I read about your story, it has been on several news publications. I said, I gotta get her on my show. And being from Alabama, I said, I have to get her on. It's meant for her to come on.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate the opportunity. I get so many requests to do things and to interview, and it's just, I try to pick things that are meaningful in the small amount of time that I have, because I still work full time during the day.
Yes.
So I give NASA on average between 10 and 11 hours a day. And then I have this small window to switch gears to do my thing. And so it's a lot. So I appreciate the opportunity.
And you're so welcome, and you do it so well. So NASA, engineer by day, winemaker by night, honey.
Yeah. And that's really, and literally that's what it is. Like, I can't do anything till, night or weekend. And so it's just, but this is the life I've chosen for myself. So I have to roll with it. So yeah.
And you're doing a fine job. So I gotta ask you a question. Are you ready to sit down for the Sip and Sit interview?
I'm ready, girl. Let's do it.
Let's do it. So I wanna know, what was your inspiration into diving into the wine industry and starting Anissa Wakefield Wines?
So I'm a private chef as well. So as part of my private chef, like, I've always paired wine. But when I let me think. In 2018, I rebranded my private chef company, and I said, what can I do to take this to another level? I was tired of doing the same thing over and over. And so I was like, well, you've been studying wine for years. You love wine. Why don't you come out with your own wine label? And it wasn't something that I had planned to do. It was just like this idea. And I just started researching, and I was like, yeah, I can do this. No problem. So that's kind of where it started. And so I host a lot of wine and food pairing events here in Huntsville. And so once I realized that people were loving this type of event, I started to do that more. And then once quarantine, the pandemic hit, I was like, well, I got a little bit of time on my hands. So I decided to go and get my certifications, and I did that through Cornell. So I spent 2 years doing that. And
Wow.
so I was originally supposed to start my second vintage in 2020, but because of the fires in California, I had to push that back to 2021.
Wow.
So yeah, so I'm a year behind schedule on where I was supposed to be, but it happens for a reason. So
It
um
re- it
I'm
does.
here.
It does. And listening to how you created your business, I'm still stuck on when you said that you are a chef. So you are a chef, you are a winemaker, and you work for NASA. You, you have been juggling so much, and I'm
Yeah.
just amazed at all of that.
Thank you. And there's more to come.
Oh yeah,
Like I'm currently
listen. I can only imagine. Is more to come. I want to ask you, as a businesswoman, as a successful businesswoman at that, how has this journey been for you? Has it been as easy?
um no, and I think, I've almost gotten a little desensitized to it
Mm-hmm.
not being easy. Because as Black women, anything we set out to do is not going it's going to be difficult because it wasn't
Mm-hmm.
designed for us to
Mm-hmm.
step in those spaces. So you have to really go into it with the mindset that this is not going to be easy,
Mm-hmm.
but it is something that you can do,
Mm-hmm.
and you have every right to do it. And don't let anybody tell you no. And so that's the approach that I took. And so it's the same way in my career. Being an engineer, am I welcome? No, of course
Mm-hmm.
not. But I'm there,
Mm-hmm.
And as Black women, we have to be more educated. We have to be more qualified
Mm-hmm.
just to get our foot in the door.
Mm-hmm.
And so none of that comes without um, discouragement sometimes, and it's not easy. But you push through.
And that's something that you have done, is to persevere through any and everything, and look at your perseverance. Look what it has done. And
Right.
I want to say congratulations, because you were recognized as the state of Alabama, which we currently live in, the first
Mm-hmm.
certified Black female winemaker. I have to give you kudos for that, to being the first. You are the
Yeah.
first certified Black female winemaker. How does
It
this
has
recognition feel for you?
actually I haven't felt it yet. And it's because I'm so busy. I haven't sat down. I haven't had time to absorb it. Um so it still feels kind of surreal. Because in my mind, I'm just somebody just out here, trying to follow my passion and make wine.
Mm-hmm.
And then to hear people say and use terms like pioneer, the first, you know, it doesn't resonate with me yet. I
Mm-hmm.
think by the time I have my launch, and get a chance to stop working on the wine for a while and enjoy
Mm-hmm.
the moment, I think there's going to be lots of tears. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I'm so grateful and thankful for that title. It's always been my mindset that anything that I set out to do, I do it for the culture. And so
Mm. I love that.
that's my driving force behind anything I do. And so, and hoping just to leave that legacy for the next little Black girl or little Black boy that comes along that
Mm-hmm.
wants to do anything. So yeah.
I love that. Doing it for the culture. That
Why
just
wouldn't I? Why
that
wouldn't I?
I love that. Sometimes you don't hear that from our people, that we don't do it for the culture, but for you to say that, that is amazing. What are some challenges that you have overcome when you first started Anissa Wakefield Wines? What are some challenges that was like, okay, I got to get through this. I got to persevere. What were some of those challenges?
So starting out, wine and education of wine wasn't readily available to us. Wine was kind of almost like this secret society, and almost like trying to join the country club to get,
Wow.
in those spaces where there were winemakers and people making decisions and talking about the next trend about wine. You really had to, you know, almost peel the onion back and ply your way through to get to that information. But here we are in 2022, and, wine information and education is everywhere now. But,
Hmm.
10, 11 years ago when I started on this journey, that information wasn't available. And,
Wow.
talking about wine was, wine was viewed for, the elite.
Mm.
And it was viewed as this pretentious and upscale beverage that, comes across as complicated to do, and it's really not.
Mm.
Um, so that was the challenge years ago. The new challenge today is that with our culture emerging and with us no longer asking for seats at tables, but bringing our own damn table, the
Mm.
way into these spaces now, they're scared. So when you
Yeah.
come in and you know just as much or more as the winemaker sitting next to you, that's intimidating. So that's the new
Mm.
challenge now.
Wow.
Being
Wow.
in those spaces, and when I open my mouth to talk about wine, it's like, oh, and I'm like, yeah,
Mm.
I know about wine too. So yeah,
And I would have never would imagine that as a
yeah.
winemaker, you have faced those challenges. And that kind of segues into my next question. What changes do you think that the wine industry needs to make, especially towards our culture, towards African Americans?
They don't. We don't need them to change what they're doing. We have shown that, okay, you know, I'm not allowed to come into your facility and make wine. You won't share information with me. Well, I'll start my own vineyard. I'll
Mm,
start my own winery. So we don't need the industry to change anything. Like as African Americans, the one thing that we've proven is we'll make a way.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
We'll get our foot somewhere. We'll do it on our own. So, but as a whole, as society and as a whole, when it comes to winemaking and the winemaking industry, you can see where they've been making changes.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of wine owners and companies are doing things where they're allowing, people to come in and do incubator type winemaking.
Mm-hmm.
They're offering scholarships to African Americans to get their certifications, to come work in the vineyards and get hands-on experience. So they have made those changes. But to say that we need them to do something, no. We've never needed anybody to do anything for us. We have all that within us. So,
Mm-hmm. As
yeah.
as a successful woman in business, knowing what you know now, even more so about the industry coming in, is there anything you would have done differently with your brand?
I would have to say no. I think it would have been the same
Mm-hmm.
approach had it been 3 years ago or 5 years from
Mm-hmm.
now or 10 years ago. I think 10 years ago would have been much harder.
Mm-hmm.
Um, um, because like I said, that information wasn't readily available. Um, 5 years from now would it be easier for the next person? So I think I'm right where I need to be. I don't think I would have changed anything. So yeah.
And I can just say your brand is phenomenal. It's so chic. It is so informative. And I don't think you need to change anything. Like what you know now
Mm-mm.
is great. Nothing to
Yeah.
change, even what you know now, which you wish you knew back then. Nothing that needs to be changed from the outside looking in.
Yeah. I feel the same way.
I want to ask you, as a woman in business, what advice would you give especially to young women who want to start a business, but they don't really know how. They fear, oh my gosh, I got all these different projects going on. I am a wife, I'm a mother, I have a full-time job, I can't juggle. Like, what advice would you give them if they want to start their own business?
So first, research. Start your research and really understand what it's going to take to start that business so that you're not unaware when things come up. Because I fell into that. I didn't realize it was going to be so hard trying to get my license in the state of Alabama
Really?
until I sat down and started doing the paperwork. There are a lot of requirements that, in Alabama. Okay, Alabama's Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
And we just got to the point last October of last year, where we're able to even get wine shipped into the state to our residences.
Wow.
That just happened. So, they're starting to relax the law a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
but when it comes to being licensed,
Mm-hmm.
those very strict requirements are still there. And so that's been one of the things, but I'll get through that as well. But to answer your question, definitely research,
Mm-hmm.
understand everything that you need to have going into this business. Make sure that this is your passion. Make sure that this is something that you want to do, because if it's not, you're not going to stick with it.
Mm-hmm.
Because the moment something doesn't go right, you're going to put it down.
Mm.
But if it's your passion, you're going to keep pushing through.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's, whatever it is, make sure that that's something that's dear to your heart, that it's really, it really is your passion, because there are going to be times where you're broke because you spent too much money.
Mm-hmm.
You're overwhelmed because you're trying to juggle family, kids, work, school. You're stressed out because something is not going right. So make sure it's your passion. And then lastly, even with all those things, you got to find balance.
Mm.
Um, got to carve out time for balance. Work-life balance is very important to me. Admittedly, I struggle with work-work balance. And I say that because, my wine is my work as well as NASA.
Mm-hmm.
And, like I said, I give all those hours to NASA, and then I almost don't have anything left for me.
Mm.
And so I'm trying to find that work-work balance.
Mm-hmm.
Because my work-life balance is good, because once I get tired of everything, I'll put it down and I'll go out. And I'll just be like, you know what, I need to just decompress.
Right. Yeah.
Um, but I feel once I get more into the groove and get more vintages of wine out, that work balance will smooth itself out, because um, one or the other is going to have to go. So we'll see
We'll
how that
we
ends up. Yeah.
we will see. And I like how you said work balance. I know in the past I created this blog actually 5 years ago, and I was trying to balance my radio life, being from a 9 to 5, and then going home and trying to blog. And it is really a lot of work, and a lot of people don't understand when you create a business, it is really tough, and you have to have that work balance. You have to find
Yeah,
niche. You have to um, be consistent as well, and you have been
def
very, very consistent.
yeah. And just to circle back to that work balance, when my job as an engineer is very non-emotional.
Mm.
I'm very strategic and analytical when it comes to my job. So there's rarely any space for me to make emotional decisions.
Mm.
But when it comes to my wine, I need to be emotional. I need to feel,
Mm-hmm.
because that's where my activity comes from. So to close my NASA laptop at 5, 6, 7, whatever, and try to get into my feelings so that I can do what I need to do for my wine, it's a challenge, because it's
Mm.
almost going from a robot to full up feelings
Mm-hmm.
in an hour to try to get that done. And so it's that type of balance that is it's a struggle, but you know,
But you got
some
it.
way I get through
You
it.
and listen, you are getting through it, um especially like just being named the first certified Black woman winemaker. Like, you are getting through it. You are an example of perseverance, of strength, and you're showing that it's okay. Like, Black women can be smart and have a business as well. Like, you're making it, you're making it shown, and I love that. I want to get into winemaking. I want to talk about your
Okay.
local wine club called the Black Cuvée. Am I saying
Yeah.
that right?
Cuvée, yeah.
The Black
Yep.
Cuvée. Okay. What
Yeah.
inspired you to actually launch a local wine club? Because being from Tuskegee and living in Montgomery, we don't hear of local wine clubs, and there's so many restaurants that have good wines, but no local wine clubs, nothing of that down here. So what inspired you to
Right.
make your own local wine club?
Well, I've been doing virtual wine clubs when the pandemic hit. And
Wow.
so, and it was just, a small group of my friends and people that I knew were wine enthusiasts or wanted to learn more about wine. So it kind of came from that. But I had been doing wine pairing and talking about wine and things like that in a clubbish setting since about 2016. And
Mm.
so I said, I pay attention to a lot of things that are happening around me. And I noticed that in Huntsville, there are wine clubs, um, but there are rarely any members in those clubs that look like me.
Wow.
And
Mm.
um, I just thought of it from a standpoint of we drink wine. We like
Mm-hmm.
wine too. We like to get together and discuss how the wine tastes and what to pair it with. And I said, well, I'll start something for us because, like I said, it's always about the culture. So,
Yes.
um, this is a safe space for us because we're not always welcome
Mm-hmm.
in those spaces. And so I'm not a wine guru. I don't know the be all and end all of wine. Um, but I know how to show you how to pair wine with food, to make that wine experience, phenomenal. I'm great at that. And so that's how I proceed with the club. It's fun. It's not intimidating. You don't have to know the answers. Um, Come and taste the wine of the month, pair it with the suggestions that I've given,
Mm-hmm.
and let's sit and drink wine and talk,
I
So
love
it's really just that simple.
I love that, because with me, I drink wine. It might be every other night, but I love wine. I love how it feels. It mellows me out, and then I can really, really sleep good. But to be honest, I kind of drink the same wine. I said I want to branch out, from the Moscato, because I love sweet wine. So I kind of want to
Yeah,
do that, and half the time I don't know what to pair with it. I just buy it and drink it, to be honest.
right. And that's what I specialize in. My experience and education, and my niche for wine is pairing it with food. Now, I make wine that you can drink on its own, but
Mm-hmm.
I specifically make the wine to be paired with food. And I show you how to pair that to take that wine and that food to the next level. And so that if you're ever somewhere and you have this wine, you know exactly what to pair it with if you're having dinner. Or if you're at a cocktail party and they're passing around appetizers, um, if you're drinking a Moscato that you wouldn't grab anything that's sweet
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
because it'll make wine flat and it'll take the sweetness away from the wine. So you always want to pair this with something spicy.
I
Amp up
didn't
the
know
sweetness
that.
and to make it bright. Yeah. So those are the things that I teach at the wine events. I won't say teach, that I share
Mm-hmm.
at the wine events and at the wine club. That's the purpose, so that just tips to help you. I gently nudge you to try different wines and to come out of the sweet wines, because I know us Alabamians love sweet wines,
Yes, we
and
do. We do.
I tried to introduce something different and show you, because I'll give you a Chardonnay and I'll show you what to pair it with to make it sweeter for you.
Mm. And see, I never knew
So
you can pair wines with food to make the wine
to
sweeter.
bring out what you, yeah. So
And I usually stay away from the dry wines because I never know really what to pair it with. Like if you go to a restaurant and if I drink wine, it's always going to be Moscato. It's something that I know because I'm so
that
comfortable
you
with it.
know. Yeah,
But I
right.
don't. I want to get out of my comfort zone when it comes to wine. So, but that's really, really good to know, though. Never
Yeah.
knew that.
It's just about training your palate. And you can't do that unless you are open to experiencing other wines.
Mm.
And so it just starts with an openness to at least want to try. Not trying to change what you love,
Mhm.
but to give you more options.
Mhm.
Because you may love this too if you
Mhm.
try it. It's that type of approach.
I love that. Just be willing to try new things, especially in wine. I want to talk
Yeah.
about your brand, Anissa Wakefield Wines. How did you come up with that name? Tell me about it.
So everybody has asked me this, and I am keeping it. I've been trying to keep it a secret
Mhm.
until the launch, but I will share this. Anissa is my middle name,
Oh, okay.
um, and Wakefield is my dad's last name.
Mm, I love that.
So it's about family.
Yes. And I love that. Keeping it in the family and passing it down to your legacy of that last name. I think that is so cool. That's so brilliant. What can we expect from Anissa Wakefield Wines this year?
So I'm in the process of bottling.
Ooh.
So I'll yeah. So we're
Oh.
at the end. My label got approved by the government, I think 3 weeks ago. And so I'll move into bottling next week, tentatively on the 26th.
Wow.
Um, and then we'll prepare to ship. And then while I wait on my licenses from Alabama, um, so, the launch is scheduled for July 9th. Um,
Mm.
so I hope to have everything in place for that. So I'm preparing for that. I'm preparing to officially launch the wine club next month. So I'm currently doing intake
Mm.
and for membership. So just a lot, just trying to get everything set and in place for when July rolls around because everybody is asking for this wine. And I'm just like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what to tell you. Like, this is the phase that I'm in. And so after I get through that, and then I'll gear up to start next April on my next barrel.
Wow.
I haven't decided what it'll be yet, if it'll be a white or a red.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but that's what's coming up. So I'll be sourcing vineyards for grapes, depending on what I decide that the next vintage is going to be.
Mm-hmm.
So starting this thing all over again in April.
Wow. And you're gonna get it because July will be here and I'm just so amazed at how everything is coming together. Like now you're on this phase of bottling. And I cannot wait for your wine to be sold in Alabama. I need them to get with the program, speed it up or something, because I cannot
Yeah,
wait to get my hands on your wine. That's one
yeah,
thing.
that's what
I can't
everybody's saying.
wait.
I'm like the pressure, because what if you don't like it? But I think people are going to be pleasantly surprised
Mm-hmm.
and really receptive to what the wine is. I sourced 6 different varietals for this wine. So it's a blend. Um, so I won't say if I used all six or not,
Mm,
but I had six to choose from. So I think people are gonna love it. So at least I hope they do.
I can't
So
wait
yeah,
for it. Our culture, we're gonna support you. Anyway, we're gonna support you. We are,
yeah,
especially in Alabama. You got your Alabama people gonna back
yeah. I really really appreciate it. And all of this just kind of in my mind, I had a plan. Of course, I had a schedule. I was going to do this, then the wine was going to come out and do this, and then I was going to start doing interviews and talking about the wine. But, that one little interview I did with Cornell just sent
you.
me down a path that I wasn't even expecting so soon. So I'm really trying to catch up. Um, I feel like I'm on a speeding train. I'm on the last, cargo, whatever you want to call it, car. I'm trying to make my way to the front to tell the conductor to slow down. And so,
Mhm.
um, but I'm trying to take it day by day and take it in stride. So, um, but yeah, that's the plan. I feel like if I can just make it past July,
Mhm.
I'll be okay. Yeah.
And you will because 2022 is your year, and it's going to be the rest of the year is going to be amazing with your launch. I want to ask you, what do you think is your ultimate goal that you want to have for Anissa Wakefield Wines? What's your ultimate goal?
So originally, when I set out with Anissa Wakefield Wines, the goal was to um, get the line on airlines
Mm.
because I would sit and I would order wine and then years ago when they had the pamphlets, it would say the wine brand and blah 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 blah, but they don't
Yeah.
print that in there anymore. So I asked, what red do you have, and to say whoever, and I know the black wine brands because there's so few of them, and I would just be like, where are we? Where are our brands on the wine,
Mm-hmm.
on the airplane, on the airlines? And so that's the ultimate goal for Anissa Wakefield Wines, so that I can put it on airlines and I can sit back and enjoy the fruits of my labor because
Yes.
but that's a ways away. So, but that is the ultimate goal.
But it's coming. Hey, I
Yeah.
cannot wait to be flying in the air. And when the flight attendant says, "Ma'am, you want some wine?" Yes. And I see Anissa Wakefield Wines on there, I cannot wait for that because
Yeah.
everybody wine ain't good. So I know your wine is gonna be like really, really good. When I'm
Yeah,
flying.
I put a lot of love and care into it. With most anything that I do, especially when it comes to food and wine, because wine is food to me. It's that whole process
Mm-hmm.
from ground to table, from ground to bottle that you do when you farm food. And so growing up, my mom, always grew garden. Like she always had a garden and, she cooked 3 meals a day. Like we didn't go out to eat. Like I didn't know what a restaurant was. Um, actually until I got in high school. And so,
Mm-hmm.
so just that influence of taking the time to prepare something for someone, um, and putting love and care into it. That's the same approach I take with the wine. So I hope it comes through, um, when people get a chance to try it. So
And it will.
yeah.
I can't say it enough. I'm excited because I don't think have ever really tried a black owned wine brand. I've never really tried it. And so I'm excited to try yours because yours will be the first. So
And I'm trying to work with different stores and restaurants
Mhm.
in the state of Alabama to start stocking black owned wines on their shelves because um, you haven't found black owned wines in Alabama because of the law. Because it's hard, until the law was just passed in October, you couldn't get certain wines into the state.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
so there are lots of black winemakers out in Napa and in Sonoma and just Napa Valley that have some amazing wines, and they need to be in the state of Alabama. Like, people need to see that you know there's other wines out
Mhm.
there, and there are some black brands that have great wines. Of course, we finally have gotten to, a few years ago, where the McBride sisters wines are available in Alabama, but there's so many more others that are just have great wines. And so they will be present at my lunch. So I'm going to make sure that those black owned wines are at the launch in July, because I know it's cliche, but and I keep saying for the culture, but I don't mind, sharing the spotlight or shining the spotlight on
Mm.
other makers. So
I
yeah,
love
because
that.
it had not been for them, I wouldn't have felt like I was able to do it.
Wow.
So I have befriended some great black winemakers, and I'm really grateful and thankful to them for to be able to even come behind them and do something that they, have been doing for years and years. So
And I love
yeah.
that, to be able to bring someone and be a part of the journey and unify, because it's not a competition. We all we got.
Mm-mm.
And I
Right.
like how you said just inviting them to come, because if you look at it, it's a win for all of us.
Yeah.
It's a win for all of us.
And there's enough room for all of us, and because we all do so many different things when it comes to wine, because you can do wine is almost like a blank palette, a blank
Hmm.
canvas. You can do so much. And so I think there's room for all of us, because there's so many different things to do in wine. And I think we all bring a different aspect to wine in that way. So yeah, never a competition, always admiration and, support to other black winemakers and wineries. So yeah.
I love it. I love it. Rada, I just want to say again, thank you so much for coming on the Sip and Sit. And there's just one more question I would love to ask you. And it's something that I do in all of my interviews. I love as aspirations. I love I mean affirmations, aspirations, like all of that, goals. And I want to ask you, what is something, a quote that you live by, that keeps you going each and every day while you're working at NASA, when you come home and work on your business? What is one quote that
Oh
drives you
God.
every day?
I don't know if so. A quote. Let me think.
Something as a bit a woman in business, something that just drives you to be the best that you can each and every day, that drives you to continue to do what you do.
And I don't think it's so much as a quote. I think it's more of a, I'll say, affirmation
Mm-hmm.
that I live by. And it's just, um, try it.
Mm,
Just try it.
try
And
it.
it's simple. Just try it.
Mm, mm,
And if you've gone through the day and you've at least tried, you haven't failed.
ooh,
You fail when you don't try.
mm. I love that.
So that's
Just
kind of what I start my day with. That, I got so much to do. I don't know what part of my to-do list is going to actually work, but I'm going to try it.
I love that. That's something that will be sticking with me for the rest of the week. Any of my
Yeah.
interviews, whatever is said in the interview, I kind of let it marinate, and it guides me through the
Mhm.
rest of my week. So it's something that I've been wanting to try, but I've been afraid
Yeah.
to do it this week. So now I'm
Mm.
just gonna try
I,
it. Just do it.
Try it. Just, and I was gonna say that because I was like, well, I don't want to sound like a Nike commercial. Just do it. But it really is just that. Just do it
Mm.
and see what happens. And if anything, you learn what not to do the next time you try, or you learn what to do more the next time you try.
Mhm.
So yeah,
So
just try it.
So people, if you have a aspiration or a goal or a dream, just try it, as Ryder says, because look at her now, being the
Yeah,
first Black certified winemaker in the state of Alabama, and it's something she loves doing. She's passionate, and one thing I can say, when you're pregnant with your passion, is going to show. And something you said earlier in the interview, having a passion for it, and we see it with you,
mm-hmm.
in your winemaking, and you
Yeah,
tried it. It's like, I'm just gonna do it, and you did it. You weren't. Yes, you probably were scared, but it's that perseverance, that strength, that
you know,
as a Black queen, that has gotten you so far, especially through, to the top in this. And just hearing your
yeah,
story, it has really been inspirational, to say the least,
yeah.
because as a woman from, hey, we two homegirls from
Tuskegee,
Alabama, and you know how it is for us here, and for you
yeah,
to just
yeah,
do something that you love doing, and you tried it, and look at
yeah,
the fruits of your labor.
yeah. And I will say this just to piggyback off of that. If when you come across something that you want to do, and you feel fearful or scared about it, that's not your passion. Your passion will never have you with butterflies or afraid to try it. Your passion will light a fire, and you can't help but to try it because it'll keep drawing you to that until you do it.
Mm,
So if there's something that's pulling you that you keep thinking about and it's drawing you to do that, do that. That's your passion. But
mm,
something that has you nervous and you keep analyzing about it and over, that's not your passion. And that's not something you want to do. Listen to your instincts. Your body will tell you when something feels right
mm-hmm,
and when something's your passion.
mm-hmm,
Because when you talk about it, there's a difference in your talk, in your voice. Um, you're excited about talking about it.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So just to leave people kind of with that, your passion should never have you fearful.
Ooh, your passion should never have you fearful.
Right.
Just try it. Oh, I love
Just try.
that. I love
Yeah.
that. Rada, I just want to thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule, because I know you're busy,
You're
girl. You're
welcome.
busy, just to come on the Sip and Sit. I wish you so much. Oh my gosh, so many blessings on your new venture next year that you're gonna have for Anissa Wakefield Wines. I just wish so much for you, because as a queen, queens see queens, and we gotta continue
Yes.
to support our Black entrepreneurs, our Black
Right.
business women in business. We gotta continue to support each other, because we all we got. They
We all
support
we
each
got, and
other.
we're already behind the curve in trying to um understand what our culture was
Hmm.
before coming to this country. Like a lot of our history is being erased, and so
Yes.
now we're creating history and hoping that this history stands the test of time,
Hmm.
so that 100 years from now nobody has to try to figure out what our Black history was.
Hmm. Hmm.
You know,
Agreed.
it's about making our history stick this time. So
I agree.
yeah.
I
Thank
agree.
you, and much blessings to you, and thank you so much. I
You're
really
so
appreciate the
welcome.
opportunity.
You're so
I'm
welcome.
so grateful.
And you please don't be a stranger. You gotta come back
I
on the Sip
won't.
and Sit.
Yes, I will. Anytime. You just let me know.
All right. All right, guys. Thank you so much to Rada Griffin. Make sure you follow her on Instagram. Excuse me. And also check out her website. Her launch is coming soon. Rada, thank you so much for being on the Sip and Sit.
Thank you. Thank you. Have a great night.
You
I'll
too.
talk to you soon.
Bye bye.
Okay. Bye bye.